soul in hell, I should immediately say, yes, Lord, here am I. Use me. But we've got so many whys. How come, God? Why me, God? How come not that sister? How come not this sister? God, what are you asking me to do it for? I'm already doing something. God, asked her, she ain't doing nothing. Oh, God, what do you want me to do it for? That brother, he don't do anything anyway. Go get him and get him to do it. Hey, man, let me tell you something tonight. Quit trying to bargain with God and let God use you. Quit trying to question God and let God be the Lord of your life. He ain't only Lord, but He needs to be Lord of our lives. God didn't come expecting this tonight, I'm sure. This is what God's got in my heart. He is the supreme being.
Amen.
He is the King of kings and the Lord of lords. He is the master of this universe. He is that God has said, peace be still to the winds and the waves, and they calmed right down. He is the God that looked at Lazarus laying dead 4 days in a tomb and said, Lazarus, come forth. He is the same God, amen, that was transfigured. He is the same God, amen, that was crucified on a cross on Calvary's hill, laid in a tomb, but 3 days later He rose out. He still is that God tonight. Amen. He still is that powerful one. He still is that. He still has the power, amen, to keep you and I on this earth and to take us out of it. Bill Cosby one time, I was watching one of his shows, and he told that boy he said, I brought you into this world, and I can take you out. And that's the way God is. God can take us out. He can set us aside if we don't want to be used of God, and just let us sit there and be miserable. But we can do what God has called us to do, and we can be full of joy, amen. We can have happiness in our life, because I have found out in my time with God, when I'm busy about the Father's business, when I'm doing what He has asked me to do, when I'm minding Him. Like the brother said, I told you about the lady one time. God told me to go to the hospital all the time, and I kept saying, God, I don't want to go, amen. But I felt this coldness, this miserableness come, and I knew unless I minded God, I was going to be a miserable being. You might feel like you're not equipped. You might feel like you don't have what it takes. You might feel like you don't know the words. You might feel like you don't know the Bible. But if God is directing you to do something tonight, God will put the words in your mouth. God will give you the scriptures to read. God will give you the power, amen, to say that prayer of faith. God, amen, will touch you in such a way that people will know that it's not Jeff, it's not Raymond, it's not Cole, amen, but it is the hand of the living God.
Amen.
These people begin to reason among themselves. They begin to talk back and forth. Who does he think what gives him the power? What makes him know everything? I'm telling you tonight, He is all seeing and He's all knowing. There's nothing going to be hid from God. There's nothing that's strange to His ears. There's nothing taken under the sun that's going to be new to Him. Everything, every situation in this life, He has already encountered it. He's already saw it coming. He's already given preparations in your heart, making you ready that you can perform whatever He called you to do. We so many times today, God will put a directive in our life. He'll put something in us, some kind of a go ye inside of us. And we'll think, well, God, that's not very much. I don't really want to do that. Or, God, that's too big. I don't know if I want to tackle that. We're never happy. It's either too big or it ain't enough. Amen. There's too much to do or not enough to do. Amen. If it's not enough, then you're looking for recognition. Amen. And you'll never get promoted in God. Amen. God said He'd take little much when He was in it. God said He'd take the little things if we're obedient in there, and He'd make us ruler over many things. Amen. We have got to be willing to start somewhere. We've got to be willing to say, yes, Lord. I don't care if it's just unlocking a door. I don't care if it's turning on the air. I don't care, God, if it's watching the parking lot. It don't make no difference to me, God, if it's sweeping the floor. It makes no difference, God, if you want me to preach. Whatever it is you want from me, God, help me to not say why. Help me to not ask the reason, God. Help me to say, yes, Lord, here am I. But years ago, you don't see it so much anymore. 30, 35, 40 years back, it seemed like every time you turn around, God was calling a bunch of people to preach. I know when I first started, there was about 10 or 11 of us, just young men. And every one of them was talking about how they had run from God. How they didn't want that responsibility. Backward, bashful. Every one of them had a reason. God, I can't do this for this reason. Or God, I can't. Every one of them had a reason. I had no reason. I'm honest with you tonight. When God called me to preach, I was the most excited man on planet Earth. I couldn't wait to tell somebody. I couldn't wait, amen, to get myself prepared for the pulpit of God. Amen, I don't know why that was, because I was like them. I was backward, I was bashful, didn't want to be in front of nobody. Amen, but at the same time, I knew when God said to do it, I knew there was something special about that. I knew that there was something glorious with it. I knew that God would work a work if I would give him an opportunity. Church, listen, it don't matter what God calls you to. Forget about the why. Believe me, God won't call you to do something if there's not a legitimate reason. If there's not something good behind it, he won't ask you to go do it. Hey man, one time I told y'all this before, some of you, many years ago, probably 25 years ago, maybe, probably more than that. Brenda was with the house and it was snowing and she wouldn't drive in the snow and she come and got me one night, I don't know, around 11, 12 o'clock somewhere. I was going to lay in the bed and she said, God told me to go down the road here and pray for this woman. She said, but I can't drive in this. I looked over at her and I said, what are you bothering me for? She said, well, God said to go and it's snowing and he told me to go. What are you bothering me for? Well, you know you're going to. If God told you to go, you're going to go. He didn't tell you to come wake me up. He told you to go. And here you are, you're in here wasting time. You're waking me up. He told you to go. She got up and went. She got there, the lady was wide awake, sitting waiting on her. I'm telling you tonight, there should be no why. There should be no, but God, if you get my husband out of bed, I'll mind you. That ain't the way it operates. That ain't the way it works. Amen. God, listen, if I knew for sure, with a certainty in my heart, that God had called me and asked me to go do something somewhere, if it be South Vietnam or North Korea or Iraq or Iran or wherever it may be, if I knew for a certainty that my God had asked me to go somewhere, I wouldn't go around trying to recruit me, the United States Army, to see that I got there okay. Amen. Because if God has got enough, amen, and I can believe God, amen, to tell me to go there, God will make me a way where there seems no way. So why ask God why? I feel like he probably saw maybe more than one in here tonight. I know it's a small crowd, but God doesn't deal with me these things for no reason at all. There's somebody in the house tonight that God's been dealing with and saying, I want you to do this or I want you to do that. And I hate to say dealing with, because that tells me that you've been wrestling with God about it. And you haven't just immediately said, yes, Lord. I hope you understand before we leave here tonight that our immediate answer to God should always be yes. We shouldn't ask God why. We shouldn't question God why. We shouldn't reason amongst ourselves why. We shouldn't pick up a telephone, call our best friend and say, hello sis, or hello brother. You know what? God's dealing with me about something. I just want to run it by you one time. Listen, who we're getting ready to run it by, I don't know nothing about it. Only God knows about it tonight. Whoever we're getting ready to run it by, if God wanted them to do it, they'd be chasing it. It wouldn't be you. So if God's dealing with you tonight, and that tells me you've already wrestled with God about it. You already got some disobedience in you, if I can use that big word. You've already got some doubt operating in there. And there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. God will qualify anybody. Amen. If God calls you, he will qualify you. He will teach you, he will lead you, he will guide, he will direct you in such a manner that you cannot go wrong. Amen. I'm not saying you won't make a mistake along the way. I'm not saying you won't fall once in a while. Amen. But God will get you from point A to point B if you'll keep your vision on him, if you'll stay on the straight and narrow, if you'll keep your focus on what God is trying to lead you into and call